Welcome to the First Look Seminar, Coast to Coast style. Gino Bacola, we got another big weekend of racing. Are we set to go?
Yeah, we have Coast to Coast Pick 5 preview coming up. First Racing has these great wagers every Saturday, Sunday, 15% low takeout, dollar-based minimum, free DRF pass performances too for every one of these sequences. So you can get those free PPs for that. And like always, there's a bunch of different ways you can make money this weekend. Don't forget about the Pick'em contest, Chappie. Free to enter, pick'em.santanita.com, 12 prop questions. And the winner every Saturday and Sunday gets $500. And they're combos of regular sports questions as well as, asking you about the Santa Anita card for Saturday. So always fun where you can kick back, play the races, get a little extra action with a free contest going on as well.
Always plenty going on. And once again, Skip Rains joins us. And the rain is out of the way. We've had plenty of it in Southern California here lately. But Skip, we are sunny. We are good to go here in Southern California. And what about Gulfstream Park?
They might get a few showers tonight, but it will clear up by the time racing goes. And even if they do, it won't be much. So should be fast and firm over there too. And the weather's beautiful here. It seems like a spring day. 78 degrees today. So the weather's great.
Well, let's get it started then, gentlemen. We always talk about the Pick 5, 15% takeout, dollar minimum. And Gino, we don't call it the best bet in racing for nothing. The playoffs have been nothing short of tremendous week in and week out. So let's get it started, Gino. The Gulfstream Race 10 is the first leg. We're 1 mile and the 16th on the turf. What are you looking at?
What makes this race pretty challenging is a lot of the major contenders are coming off of layoffs, and we haven't seen them run for a while. So it is difficult in that you have horses like, Fuente Ovejena hasn't run since August. You look at a horse like Papilio, who hasn't run since October and has kind of a layoff after a layoff situation there. Ocean Club hasn't been out since September. Gloria's Princess, August. So a lot of those horses will take some money, but we don't know if they're going to be necessarily on their tip-top form as of yet. I will use a couple of them, but I do think because of that, it probably does help Sweet Danny Girl to the outside, who's going to go second start off the bench. And while she is drawn a little bit wide, she did get a wide-ish trip and was sitting off kind of how she may have to in this race. So I do think because a lot of the other top contenders in here, I think she's a strong favorite that I'm not necessarily chucking out of a ticket. I will include her with a couple others. I think the way I'm going to try to play this thing is 4, 5, and 10 on my main ticket, maybe a couple others if I go a little deeper. Papilio is a grade 2 winner, is getting Lasix for the first time. This horse has 4+ months off, but most of those races last year would win this. So if we're just talking about a horse that shows back up with that same form right there, I thought the 5 Ocean Club was maybe the intriguing price horse to throw in because she has enough tactical speed to sit close and she doesn't need the lead, so she can kind of fall into a nice trip. And look at the horses that she faced in her most recent losses. She lost to Ceiling Crusher, who came back to win a grade 1 out of that race next time out. She lost to Anisette, who is a multiple grade 1 winner. Prior to that, she wins a stakes race. Before that, she loses to Honor D Lady, who we talked about last week in the Coast to Coast Pick 5. And Honor D Lady just won the grade 3 Royal Delta. Prior to that, she lost to a horse named Affirmative Lady, who came back in her next start and won the grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks. Like a lot of these in here, she's going to need to be ready, but she's certainly faced some quality horses. So I'll try to knock it down to 4, 5, 10 to get things started.
4, 5, 10 to start it off. Skipper, how do you look at it?
I like those. I'm going to mention a couple others that I'm going to put on my ticket, but 4, 5, 10 are definitely on my ticket. I thought Gloria's Princess was intriguing. This horse, first time out, ran second by a length and a quarter, came back, stretched it out at Churchill Downs to a mile and a 16th and won for fun, 6.5 lengths. I like the breeding on this horse. Glory S has thrown out some turf winners, and I like that. The last race, they stepped it up to the Lake Placid, the grade 2, and didn't run that bad. That was a good race. That Chad Brown that came out here ended up winning and beat older horses. Gino probably knows the names. Surge Capacity. Yeah. Surge Capacity. So that was a good race. I watched the workouts on XBTV, and I thought the January 26th and the February 2nd works were really good. So the 7's going to be on my ticket. And I'm also going to use the 9, Marksman's Queen. I know this horse hasn't won on the turf, but it's bred top and bottom for the turf. All 3 wins have been on the synthetic. It's raced 5 times with 3 wins. It dug in gamely last time, which I liked. And I also like the work. It's funny. The work is so slow, but the work on the 9th, 52-2. But I just love the way that this horse was going. You know, the one thing that a little scares me with this horse, it needs a lead. Like it gets a little ranked when it's not in front. But all that being said, I'm going to use it at 6-1. So I'm going to go 4, 5, 7, 9, 10.
At least on paper, it looks like no lack of early speed there. So they should be rolling up front. We shall see. Maybe sets up for a horse like Papilio. All right, race 11 is our second leg. Skipper, right back to you. 6 furlongs in the Gulfstream Park Sprint. What are you looking at?
I'm going to single here. You know, I went and I tried to watch the workouts and the replays. The only workouts I saw were on the One Run Classic. Jose D'Angelo takes over for Brett Calhoun. This horse did have a good work on the February 2nd, the one that they showed. But I'm going to single here. I got a single somewhere, and this is going to be it. The 6, Candyman Rocket. This horse is 4 for 4 at Gulfstream. It seems like all its best races have been at Gulfstream. It runs well fresh. Bill Mott and Jorge Ortiz, they're having a great meet. They're winning at 27%. It gets off the rail, and that last race in the grade 2 at Belmont, it wasn't a bad race. That horse made the lead turning for home. It didn't switch leads until late, and it got a little tired. I don't know if it wants to go 7 furlongs. I'm sure it can, but its preferred distance is 6 furlongs. 4 out of his 6 wins have been there, and I like the work on the 29th that I saw. So I'm going to go ahead and take a stand and single Candyman Rocket here. It won this race last year off a layoff, so actually second off a layoff. But I'm going to single Candyman Rocket.
Singling Candyman Rocket, who will clearly be odds on here, Gino. Is that your single, or are you looking to beat it?
No, I'm going to use a few others, but I will be using him. I mean, he's super logical and makes a lot of sense. The concern is just the layoff for me and why I can't key in on him. But with the way his running style and the trip he sits, he always puts himself in such a good spot, and he's just usually right there. But the one who Skip mentioned a little bit, this horse is really talented. He might be just a little bit better at about 7 to a mile. He doesn't really want to go farther than a mile. So I don't know if 6 furlongs from the rail will be exactly what he wants, but he's super talented, and it wouldn't shock me. I didn't want to leave him out. I'll mention a couple others. The 10, Dean Delivers, I think, super logical. I like the draw for him because cutting back, I think he could sit really well from the outside here. He's shown us that he has the ability to sit off the pace. I wanted to throw in one horse that I was sure would be involved in the pace early, because the others that I used are horses that are kind of tracking a little bit. I threw in the 8, Toto Fino, who is really fast sometimes. Last time out at Delta, it was a sloppy track. They were flying there, and he just couldn't quite get to the lead, but he has some real fast races in his belt too. So I just wanted to have one of these horses that I thought would be in the mix early. So I'll use Candyman, but I will use a couple others. I'll probably go 4 deep in here, which I thought this race was a little more challenging than Skip did.
And take nothing away. Anytime you can get 12 going on a horse who's won 9 of 12 races on a fast dirt track. Horses who like to win, they compete. That is for sure. So, all right, let's move on to the third leg. And now we're over at Santa Anita, race 5. We're going a mile on the turf. And Skipper, it'll be interesting to get your ideas here, because you singled Candyman Rocket in the last. Now we get to a race with Kings River Knight, who was supposed to go last Monday against who am I?
Chosen Vron.
The Chosen Vron. Now we're going a mile on the turf, but you got another favorite in here who likes to win races. What are your thoughts in this leg?
I'm going to try to beat Kings River Knight here. Calbred, I know it's this horse is unbelievable. It's won 8 out of 14. It is a Calbred going against Open Company. Maybe it could take that step up and do it. It's been very impressive against Calbred, but I'm going to take a stand here. I don't think it gets the easiest trip like it's been getting on the lead. I know this horse has tactical speed also. It doesn't need the lead, but it seems like, it wants the lead. I think Zoffarelli is going to go to the front with it. I think Silver Surfer stretching out is going to show speed. I'm going to use a couple in here. I'm going to use the one, Cathin Peak, for Phil D'Amato and Fresu. Boy, Fresu's hot. He's been riding great. D'Amato on the grass. It likes Santa Anita. I like the inside post. I think this horse is going to get a great trip. I'm going to use Great King. You know, coming off the break, I like this horse a little bit, and it ran really good against Goliad. It only got beat a half length, and this horse was flying late. Last time, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it bounced a little bit or what happened. I think that race was too bad to be true. So I'm going to come back and use Great King. I'm going to use Lincoln Hawk. Lorado Baraccio takes over the training for Phil D'Amato, and our buddy Rockingham Ranch, Gary Hartunian. This horse has run some good races. Last time, I don't know. I don't think 1.1 1/8 is his best distance. I think this horse is more of a miler. I know it's won at 1.1 1/8 before, but with the running style, to me, it just seems like they want to take hold and just kind of make a run with this. So at 8-1, I'm going to use that one. I want to use Kings River Knight, so I got to use it. I don't want to, but I'm going to. And then the other one I'm going to mention is Carmelita's Man. This horse loves Santa Anita. It always comes running. That last race, I think it was going to catch it, but it didn't have that trouble. I think it could have caught Kings River Knight. So all that being said, I'm going 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 in here.
So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, trying to beat the favorites here, Kings River Knight. Gino, and by the way, the Great King race last time out,
it was on a good turf course.
Well,
the turf course too was good that day. If you look at the last 2 times this horse has been on a good turf course,
and Goliad opened up by about 15.
Those complexion of those races are always weird, right? They're not the same type of race where the pace is similar. So a lot of times you can eliminate them, but I think there are multiple reasons that you may be able to give this horse a chance. I'm going to mention 2 others. I'm complete. See, I don't like to put, I'm not a peer pressurer, Chappie, but I only peer pressure when people say they don't want to use the chalk and then they do, like Skippy did. That's the only time I do. So that's the only time. But see, because I'm not going to actually use the chalk Kings River Knight here. So I'm actually going to chuck the chalk. I'm going to probably go 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2. I'll mention the one, Catkin Peak. I think that's the horse to beat. The layoff does concern me a little bit, but this horse has just been facing so much better and consistently fires, consistently shows up with a really good late effort. The 2 is the sneaky horse to me, Silver Surfer, because he's in this race to go. Last time out, he was right on the lead with Zaffarelli. They both broke right together, and he just backed off. Zaffarelli went, and Zaffarelli went wire to wire. What's really weird about that, Zaffarelli's not really been a speed horse ever. He was a lot of times a horse who was the opposite of that. And when you have horses like that, I always wonder, are they going to do the same thing again? Was it an instance where he maybe just took advantage of that situation and caught a flyer, and that was great? I think the 2 second start back off the bench can take a nice step forward here. If you look at this horse's races, he's never really run a bad race since he's been here in the U.S. He's just had layoff lines. It's like every time he started getting going again, he had time off. I mean, 2 starts back, he's beating Balladeer. And then we've seen Balladeer come back and win graded stakes races and compete against top-level horses. So I think second start back off a long layoff. This horse kind of moved down to the inside, waited, was up to second mid-stretch, and he just ran a little bit like a horse that was flat late. I think they're definitely going to be more aggressive to at least set it up for the other D'Amato horse, to at least make sure that Catkin Peak gets a fair and honest pace to run at. So I'll probably go 1, 2, 3 in here, I think, and use those 3 inside horses.
All right, so 1, 2, 3 for Gino, both trying to beat Kings River Knight in here. We move on to the 4th leg. Back to you, Gino. 7.5 furlongs on the turf, race 12 at Gulfstream Park. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a weird situation when you have a horse like Typhoon Fury, the 8, who's actually a horse who won, broke his maiden, moved into Stakes Company, finished 3rd against Stakes Company, and then after that, he ran another race against Winners, and then he got disqualified from the purse money for his maiden win. So now he's back in against maidens. You don't see things like that happen all that often, especially when a horse is already stakes placed and broke his maiden and now back in. I mean, I think because of that, you have to kind of throw him in. And if you look at the races that he ran earlier in his career, he was showing a little more speed. I think he still has kind of sneaky speed, a little bit more than those last 2 races would suggest. The 2 other horses I'm going to mention and I will use, the 6 Air Invasion, he loomed up inside at the top of the lane and he was just looking for room, and he had to alter course a couple times and he had to dive back in. And if he just found a seam and was able to stay there, he might have won. Problem is the rider is struggling right now a bit. You know, he's a little cold and they have not been able to string a lot of wins together. So that's just like any athlete. You start to get in a bad streak and it seems like, oh, every shot that you normally made is out, right? Like all those little things start happening. But I do want to use that one. The 12 Riverwalk was my sort of wild card in here. This horse is going to go second start out for Bill Mott, who's much better second time out than with horses first time out of the box. Immediately goes to grass. The Dam's lone win was on the turf. 2 of the siblings have multiple races. Both of them won on the grass. So boom, Dam checks the box. Both siblings checks the box. This is a trainer that's good second time out. The horse is going to get Lasix for the first time. He ran like a horse who probably needed Lasix after the way he was involved and then just kind of packed it in and backed up. He was close up in between horses. He was up to kind of 4 wide and in between at the top of the lane. We already saw Hall of Fame come back out of that race and win with a really strong figure. I think there are some real sneaky things about the 12 at a price to include in your pick 5s.
So 3 deep for Gino, including Bombs Away with the 12 Riverwalk at 15-1. Skipper, what are your thoughts in here?
You know, this is a tough race. This is the toughest one on the sequence for me. I know Typhoon Fury, as Gino said, you know, it already broke its, or, you know, it beat Maidens. Then it went in a stakes race. Dropping back to Maidens, this horse could be tough. But, you know, others have figures that match that. And I'm even going to use a couple that are first-time starters. But all that being said, I'm going to spread. I'm going to use the one. These Oscar Performance horses have been running lights out. They've been doing really good. Eclipse Thoroughbred and Gary Barber own this horse. I know Mark Casse doesn't have the best numbers first out, but that horse from the rail, good works. It looks like they were legging it up at other places, and it came back to Paul Meadows, I think it is, and the last 2 works have been there. The one's going to be on my ticket. More Espresso, I think, is going to needed that race. I'm going to use that one. Mo Caliente, first time Lasix with Joe Bravo and Rusty Arnold. I'm going to use that one. Liam's Journey is going to be on the ticket. Bourbon Outlaw at 15-1. I'm going to use, and then I mentioned Typhoon Fury. Of course, that's going to be on the ticket. The 2 first timers I'm going to use is the 9. I went back and I watched the workouts, and I really like the workout on the 11th. And it's funny. Here we go with times again. It was 51-2, but I liked the way that this horse was moving. I liked the way it was going. I think this horse will love the grass. And then Zeke's Heart, they paid $454. I know the trainer D'Angelo doesn't do first time, you know, out real good. He wins at 8%, but this horse cost $450. And there was a couple works that I liked also. So the 11 and then Bombs Away with the 12, for all the reasons Gino said. I like the work on the 8th. The only thing that I'm nervous with this one, the workout pattern is kind of spotty. You know, it ran in November. It came back. They only showed December 31st, January 8th, January 16th. And then they don't show a work until February 8th. That's what scares me. But I got to use this horse because I did like the work on the 8th. So I'm Spreadsville in here, and I'm going really light in the last race because I've used a lot in a few sequences. So.
All right, so Spreadsville here in the 12th. Looks like you guys both think we could get a price here in the 4th leg. Then we move to the last leg. Very interesting race, the Grade 3 Santa Ana. We're going to have another short price favorite here. Skip Linda's Gift went very fast early last time out, going 47 flat, kept going. Basically looks like could be the lone front runner again. What are your thoughts here? Does Leisure Wear put pressure on again? But then again, you know, this horse looked very comfortable going fast. What do you think of the pace? And
well, because Chappie, not to interrupt, but she actually wasn't on the lead early. You know, in the running
Right.
lines, it
Yeah.
looks like she's right on the lead. They tried to go early and make her come from off the pace. She was sitting third, and then he just pressed the button on her. She went right up in front and was totally fine, relaxed.
Yeah.
And she sat before too. That was what I was pretty impressed with, the way that he rode her there and the way that she handled that.
Yeah, for all the reasons that Gino just said, you know, it didn't need the lead. This horse has come from off the pace before. I know her best races have been when she's on the lead, besides the last one when she broke third and was sitting. Then when they crossed the dirt, Peralta just said, you know, he just said, Pereira just said, let's go. They did slow it down. But, you know, I went back and I kept watching all the replays on this horse. Now, when Mandella took over the training back in August, they shipped it out here from back east. That was a prep race. That horse doesn't want to go 5 furlongs. So that was a prep. Next race out at Del Mar, they stretch it out to a mile and a 16th. It wins for fun, 1 3/4 miles. Then it runs into Graceland Gray, who was wire to wire that day and ran through the TV screen, ran 1 mile and 1:33 2. Then it had trouble at Del Mar in the Catherine Crosby. Broke from the rail that day and it wanted to go. And Pereira he tried to take hold going in the first turn, and it was rank. And it finally, he got the horse to settle. Then he got in trouble at the top of the stretch also. But the gallop out in that race, once he got clear, the horse galloped out like 10 in front. So all that being said, then they stretch it out to 1 3/8 miles, 1.5 miles. This horse wants to go that distance. This is a marathon turf horse, and they finally got it doing what it wants to do. It doesn't need the lead to win. And I'm going to single it here. I only like one other horse, but the way I mapped out the ticket that I mentioned, you know, on the show was I need another single, because otherwise I went too deep in a few other races. So I'm going to have 2 singles. But you know what I really like too? This horse is really sharp. That work on the 18th, I didn't put good work. I put great work. This horse is feeling great, doing great. And I think this horse will go wire to wire. And if Leisure Wear does go, this horse will sit off. The only other horse that I'm going to mention is Duvet Day. This horse loves the distance. And if they do go a little crazy up front, Duvet Day might have needed that last race. Michael McCarthy trains. He's been hot lately. That's the only other one that I will mention. But I'm going to single the 6 Linda's Gift on my ticket.
Gino?
The way I usually play most sequences, I usually play 2 tickets, maybe one a little bit bigger and then kind of another backup one. My bigger ticket will probably be singling Linda's Gift also. A lot of the stuff that Skippy was saying, you look at some of her races prior to Mandella, she had no problem sitting. It almost just felt like after losing to a horse that went wire to wire and then getting stuck in trouble, that sometimes the connections get a little frustrated and they're like, hey, let's just go to the front. And let's just put this horse that we think is best back on the front and let's make people come and pass us right now. And then if it happens once or twice, then you just sort of keep doing it because it keeps working. And I don't think in any way, shape, or form she needs the lead. But on the next ticket I play, because I will play 2, I'm going to go 3 deep. And the other 2 horses I will use with Linda's Gifts are the sort of new faces who I think can take a big step forward maybe second time around here, which are the 1 Queen's Command, who was visually pretty impressive. And that was her first start for Phil D'Amato. That was her first start since October of 2022. She could absolutely take a big step forward, second time here in the U.S. And I think the same can be said for Kinjani, who was really impressive. Same sort of thing. This is a horse who was off, not for nearly as long, but off for a few months, comes over here, first start for a new barn. Glatt, we're talking Glatt and D'Amato, 2 of the barns that are the top barns on the circuit too. So I'll play one where I use the both of them. The problem is though, just looking back more and more at Linda's Gifts races, she really does seem to be like a level above them. I think if she were to show up with one of her best races. So that's why I will probably put most of my eggs in that basket there.
Yeah, both of those replays were interesting on the 2 horses you mentioned, and I think like you guys said, a horse like Linda's Gift, once in a while you get those horses that go long and they just have that high cruising speed and they just keep going, and that
compare the half mile splits. Just look at her last 2 races. She went 51 2 back and 47 last time out. Right. Going longer 47. Right. and now is cutting back. So there's so many factors in her favor that we've just absolutely talked her out of the winning circle.
No doubt. Exactly.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
I did want to mention something with Kinjani. This horse was very impressive that day. I don't know how good the race was, but the way that she did it was very, very impressive. But the thing that makes me nervous with this horse, that was January 21st. Okay. It comes back and it works the 17th, but I don't know. It's only got, I just,
and I keep interrupting people today, so you guys can punch me whenever you feel like it. The only thing I would say is with the weather that we've had, right?
Yeah, we've got so much rain. But
so for me, like the works, if I'm seeing one missing work out in Southern California or work stuff that's a little off over the last month or two, we've had pretty consistent rain from the start, right? From opening day out here. So there have probably been a lot of horses that are not on schedule as far as what we would like to see.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right. Very interesting. All right, Skipper, any last comments?
That's it. Just good luck to everybody. It's going to be a great weekend. The weather's going to be great. And let's hit this thing. I finally hit it last Sunday. Unfortunately, it was a $300 ticket and it paid $150. So, but I finally hit it. I've been so close to those big ones, but so hopefully I could hit one of the big ones. I feel it. I could taste it. One's coming and hopefully it's tomorrow.
Gino?
Got to build that momentum up. There we go, Skippy. One thing I will want to mention, next week is another one of those big Saturdays, which is awesome. Santa Anita has a huge day. Gulfstream Park has a big day. There's also a big day at Aqueduct. So that day is the Ultimate Betting Challenge, which is one of the biggest betting contests of the year at Express Bet, at Santa Anita, and at Gulfstream. It's a $6,000 buy-in. That's a lot for people to put into a contest. They have a $600 buy-in the day before on Friday. That'll qualify you to get in. But in all the days leading up to it, so tomorrow at both Santa Anita and at Gulfstream, there are $40 feeders. See, those are the ones I like to play because for $40, you get into the $600 game and you can get into the $6,000 entry game for just a $40 entry. And I think they're shooting for around 150 entries in the UBC, which would mean 150 grand to play for. That's a ton of money next week if you're someone who likes to play in those contests. So might as well take a shot for the $40 games in the next week leading into it. You can get in that for a lot cheaper.
Right. No doubt about it. And plenty of ways to play and get into those tournaments. And of course, this weekend, first post 12:30 each day. And then next weekend, of course, we will have a giant day on Saturday all around the country. Big Cap Day here. So gentlemen, thank you so much. And we will see you next week. Good luck to everybody.
Good luck, everyone.